happy hump day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on the new Main Street TV. We are so happy you're joining us this morning. Jennifer here, of course, to start off our morning as we do every morning with the cheeriest newsman in the world. That's our good friend Pete Wilson, and he is here waiting to report the news. And his news update, of course, brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell, give Nia a call, 740-418-4135. Look at him. He's smiling. The birds are chirping.
I'm right on cue.
Yes.
Thanks for giving me the cue.
That's
Almost
right.
forgot. All right. Well,
What
anyway.
is going on, Pete?
Okay. Well, we'll just start off by reminding everybody about the COVID-19 update. No new news about cases. However, both the Jackson County Health Department and the Vinton County Health Department, of course, are very busy with the vaccination process. Yesterday, there was a clinic with the Wellston High School gymnasium. That was the first of the clinics that will take place at our local high schools in Jackson County from 3 to 7 p.m. Today, the health department and its crew will be at the Oak Hill High School gymnasium. And once again, we want to underscore, even though these clinics are at the school, for anyone 16 years of age and older, anyone can go to these clinics. You don't have to be a student or staff member, or you don't have to have an appointment. It's all free. If you haven't gone and now you're thinking about going, those facts are, of course, very important. This is, first dose vaccines. Clinics, follow-up clinics for folks not getting the Johnson & Johnson will be scheduled at each of those high schools later. When we have those dates, we'll certainly let you know. So we did Wellston High School yesterday. We're doing Oak Hill High School today. And we know that one date at Jackson High School has already been announced. It'll be next Tuesday, April the 13th. That'll also be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it will be in the field house at Jackson High School. There's a field house and a gymnasium. They're both about the same size, but that event will be in the field house. Once again, no appointment necessary. Later on, we'll have announcements about when the people who get the vaccinations at the schools can get their second vaccinations, we presume also at the schools. Once again, if you're 16 or 17, the vaccine is available to you, but to be accompanied by a parent or guardian or by another adult who has brought a signed note from the parent or guardian, because it is a permission thing because you are a minor if you're ages 16 and 17. In Vinton County, they are taking appointments, the health department, and how they want you to make the appointment is online through the Ohio Department of Health website called Get the Shot at coronavirus.ohio.gov. Once again, that's through the Ohio Department of Health. They've got their own website for the shot. You can get an appointment through that for the Vinton County Health Department. That's how they want you to make an appointment for the vaccine in Vinton County rather than calling or going on the Vinton County Health Department website. I'm sure they have a link on their website and also on their Facebook to this Get the Shot at coronavirusohio.gov website where you can get the appointment. Remember yesterday we told you that the COVID cases in Jackson and Vinton County's last report were both low, kind of hanging about the same. Jackson County about the same, Vinton County just a very slight increase. You can also go, if you want, to get a clinic at the Adena Regional Medical Center in Chillicothe. That is one of several mass vaccination clinic sites in the state that will continue to operate for the foreseeable time, Tuesday through Friday from 8 p.m. to 5 p.m. That is at the Packard Medical Education Center. That is on the hospital campus over there on Chillicothe. And you do have to make an appointment there, but once again, it is free. Vaccination appointments can be made by individuals 18 years of age and older by calling 1-833-4ASK-ODH. We're visiting, once again, that website we just told you about, Get the Shot at coronavirusohio.gov. Okay, we want to tell you about a new eatery that's doing very well in Wellston. Of course, a lot of folks are waiting for Lee's Steakhouse to open, but there's another place where you can get barbecued meat. It's called the Pig Iron Smokehouse and Grill in Wellston. There is what it looks like. It's at 1328 South Pennsylvania Avenue, not too far from the intersection of 93 if you're coming from Jackson. And the Ron and Danielle Eisen, they are husband and wife, and they are there with other members of their family, standing there in the lobby. The restaurant doing very well so far. Kind of reminds you maybe a little bit of what Rowdy serves. They do a lot of barbecued meat, including let's see all what they have here. They have brisket, pulled pork, chicken, frog legs, catfish, hamburgers, chicken tenders, salads, an awful lot of different items, as well as a lot of sides, fresh cut fries. They do all those things there, and they are doing pretty well so far, and so I certainly invite you to come. We mentioned that because we hadn't mentioned that on our news yet, and we had a feature in our paper last Saturday.
Do you have their hours? Somebody asked me the other day, and I wasn't sure
Well, the hours
when they're open.
They are open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday noon to 8. So open each day of the week. Hours vary depending on whether it's weekdays or weekends.
Cool.
Yes. Okay. The Marquet Cultural Arts Center is now the host, its gallery, to the Jackson-Vinton County's High School Art Show. They've been doing that for a number of years to spotlight young artists, encourage them, put them in the spotlight. This year they have added Vinton County to that as well. And we're going to show you a couple of pictures. That is the best of showpiece, and you can tell that shows some talent right there. Young lady named Hadley Fain did that. She's from Wellston High School. She's a senior, and that is her scratchboard work that won the Best of Show award. First place awards were also awarded to a student at each of the 4 high schools, and this is Garrett McNerlin, a junior at Oak Hill High School, standing alongside his mixed media piece. He was at an opening night reception that was held last Thursday evening. The young artists and others were invited to come. Some were there, some weren't. Garrett was, so we're showing you his picture along with his work. The other first place winners from Jackson High School, sophomore Maya King with a mixed media piece. From Hadley Fain also not only won the Best of Show, she also won first place for another piece, a colored pencil on paper piece. And then from Vinton County, the first place winner was Elizabeth Whiteman. She's a senior. She had a piece. She had artwork of a graphite piece using graphite. All right, this is National Library Week, Jennifer. I'm not sure that they've recognized this before through the county commissioners, but they did last week, and this is Library Week now. And the library directors from Jackson County were all there for this picture, for this resolution, which was passed by the commissioners. From the left, if you're looking on our TV screens or on your computer monitors, that's Sylvester Memorial Wellston Public Library Director Karen Jablonski, Jackson City Library Director Roger Donaldson. Then you have Commissioner John Hensler, County Commissioner John Hensler, then Oak Hill Library Director Peggy Johnson, and then County Commissioner Donnie Willis. And you would be surprised, Jennifer, maybe you wouldn't be because you're a woman of the world, but our libraries are heavily used.
They are.
I mean, a lot of folks do that. Not everybody has, for instance, have immediate access to the internet. You can do that at all of our libraries.
Yes.
Now, right now, the Oak Hill Public Library is still not open to, through in-person stuff. They do a lot online, and they do curbside and all like that. But they are doing the Wi-Fi hotspots now, which are nice. Because,
very nice.
If you don't have good internet or you can't get it where you're at, that is a big thing. And the Wi-Fi hotspots help fill that gap.
You're right.
Us in the cities and like that, we maybe take the internet for granted. But in other places where the signal isn't so strong or it's non-existent, that is very important.
Correct.
So it's National Library Week in Jackson County. We want to tell you about another funding opportunity that is very important. It's all local, It's called the J. Floyd Dixon Memorial Fund. It's been going on for a number of years now. It's named after J. Floyd Dixon, of course, who was a former school leader throughout Jackson County. He was raised on a farm in Jackson County near Oak Hill. He went on to be the county superintendent of schools and have some other important positions. And when he died, his estate set up this J. Floyd Morgan Memorial Fund, and it's open every year to nonprofit organizations to seek funding, small grants. They focus primarily on education and health issues. Historically, the grant awards do not exceed $10,000. They try to spread the money out. Bonnie Huffman, a Wellston area resident, is the chair of that. We have a story in Wednesday's paper about how you apply for J. Floyd Dixon Memorial Fund and how it can help a lot of agencies. Last year, they awarded a total of $49,000. They awarded grants to Elizabeth's Hope Pregnancy Resources, the Jackson Band Boosters, the Jackson Area Festivals and Events, Jackson County Board of Aging, the Jackson County Health Department, the Jackson Vinton Community Action, the Oak Hill Union Local School District, Warriors for Christ, and the Jackson Area YMCA. If you want to apply for funding this year, the application deadline, or the applications are now open, and the deadline is May the 3rd. Applications can be accessed through the Columbus Foundation website. They are affiliated with the Columbus Foundation, but it is all local funds, and that goes to all local agencies that are fortunate enough to get these grants. And you just go online and make your case for funding. All right. Another way to help good local projects is the Community Connector Project, or I'm sorry, the Cause Connector Project, which is through the Jackson County Community Foundation. And this is another online way where people can donate to good causes. The website you want to go to is causeconnector.org. Donors can easily search for projects that serve local communities across the areas of arts, culture, community, economic development, education, environmental stewardship, and health and human services. Right now, those who want to give can do this until April the 9th. Until that time, the foundation will double what you give to make it extra nice for the beneficiaries. Right now, local projects that have already been funded are the Community Murals Project at Wellston High School. That's where the art club's going to do the murals in different places in Wellston. The Summer Bike Program at the Jackson City Library has already been funded, and the Vinton County 4-H Advisory Council has had 2 projects funded. Accepting contributions, they still need more money. You can go to Cause Connector and donate to the Story Walk Project of the Jackson City Library, and also the Jackson County Community Foundation, which is a place to do charitable donations that help different projects in Jackson County. You can also donate to it. I believe that there is a local committee. Once all the donations are received, they make decisions on projects that they might help. All right. So remember, the early voting is already underway in Jackson County. It actually started yesterday. That's at the Jackson County Board of Elections office at 275 Portsmouth Street. The hours this week through the rest of the week are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Through Friday. Same hours will be in effect next week as well, and the week after that. And then the final week before the election, they will extend to 7 p.m. in the evening, and also on Saturday and Sunday. There is a senior citizens levy on the ballot. That is the only thing that's on countywide, so it's technically a special election. And then they're electing a Republican nominee for first ward councilman in the city of Wellston. That's the only candidate race. But of course, that senior citizens levy, very important. You can do the early voting by in person going to the Board of Elections, or you can get an absentee ballot as well. All right, the City of Jackson will be conducting Spring Cleanup Week. That'll be later this month, but you want to be ready for it. It's the last week in April, the last full week in April, April 26th through the 30th. This is for residents inside the city limits only. Customers can set out trash on their normal trash day. Fees for excessive garbage and large items will not apply during that week. If you set out a lot of stuff now, you may get charged extra for it because that's extra space and extra work, but that won't happen April 26th to 30th. that's when you put out things that you normally wouldn't put out to the garbage. Old furniture, for instance. It has to be wrapped and sealed, though, if you put upholstery out. And all trash must be bagged or boxed and not exceed 50 pounds. This does not include tires, paint, building materials, hazardous materials, propane tanks, motor oil, and scrap metal. You can't go that far. But just about everything else in the garage, the attic, or the basement, this is your opportunity to get rid of it.
That's right.
All right, Jen, the paper is out on the street. Our Wednesday paper is out on the street. Got a lot of stuff in it. There it is. Thank you, James Hamilton, on cue. Shows our front page there. Of course, we got the Apple Festival on there. We got the news that there is a Wild Turkey Festival this year. We've got more Apple Festival coverage inside. Lots of pictures there. And of course, one of the other things we have in the paper, Rob Bentley was here yesterday.
He was,
the Benton County High School head coach. We've got that big story about their honors banquet. Kind of recaps everything, and a nice picture of the girls and the coaches together one last time.
So good.
Celebrating their great accomplishment of this past season. All right, well, I will get back downstairs and do my thing, and I will give up my seat to my good friend and colleague, Associate Editor Phil Buffington.
Thank you, Pete, and have a good day, Pete.
Thank you. Well, I'll try.
All right, and Pete's Morning News Update, of course, always brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs or questions, please give Nia a call at 740-418-4135, and she will be out working hard for you. All right, let's head on over to this gorgeous weather forecast that we have brought to you by Total Media Radio, where you can listen to live local radio on your phone by downloading the app today at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And it takes about, 2 seconds to download this app, and then you have all 4 of our local radio stations, plus all of the things that they air, from local sports on up to great music and everything in between. And you can have that at your fingertips and listen anywhere and anytime you are in the world. So pretty cool stuff. All right, let's get to the weather. And today is looking absolutely perfect. Partly cloudy skies, highs around 81 degrees. For tonight, partly cloudy, lows around 53. Now tomorrow that rain creeps back into the forecast, but that's okay because the temperatures are still staying up and around 77 degrees. So looks like a pretty good chance of rain tomorrow. On Friday, a slight chance of rain. Saturday, a slight chance of rain. But those temperatures still stay very, very mild. So can't complain about that one bit. All right. Well, the good news is that the weather is beautiful and the bugs, other than the boar bees, are not really out so much, so you can actually sit outside and enjoy some peace and quiet, unless you have allergies and then you just sneeze a lot. How you doing, Phil?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. You know, if anyone ever wants entertainment, and I'm going to secretly film this because he would die if I did. So my husband has these 2 tennis rackets at the house, and he is like a boar bee attempted assassin. And when I say attempted, it's because it's normally like boar bees 99% and Jamie 1%, because they are fast suckers.
Yeah, they are.
But man, oh man, I get entertained by watching him flail around the yard swinging. So anyway, have you all done that in the past?
I have.
Isn't it so fun?
It is.
And the thing is, you can whack one pretty good, and then they just keep flying.
They're fine. It usually doesn't hurt them at all.
It's like they're lined with Teflon or something. I don't know what God put on boar bees, but anyway. James, have you ever partook in boar bee assassination attempts?
Not with a tennis racket, I don't think.
Oh, you haven't? That's the
No.
best.
No, I'll tell you
What
what.
do you use, a baseball bat?
No, I'll tell you what we do have. I think this came from Callahan's, actually.
Okay.
Is the biggest fly swatter you've ever seen in your entire life. I mean, it is like, I don't know, like a 1/4 inch thick.
Wow.
Like, I
Now
mean,
maybe
you
that would
could-
get 'em.
Not
I
probably.
mean, you could kill a mouse with this thing.
Now that's sick. Tennis
I
racket's
didn't say I
way more
would kill a
humane.
mouse with
He's
it.
just saying you could. He's not saying he did.
I mean, if like a fly landed on like a window and you swatted it, you could
Bust the
probably
window.
break the window.
Like the window would shatter. Oh no. No, it is so like this time of the year is so pleasant because you can sit out on the grass and the ants aren't running all over you and you can it's just and you only have a week or so of it
Yeah, it
where
doesn't
you get
last
these
long.
beautiful temperatures but no bugs and if you can handle the pollen outside then you're in pretty good shape. So
Man, I'll tell you what's been getting me this week driving to work is all the wild onions.
oh,
There's one stretch where it's just
they're
like,
crazy. Yeah.
like it's a lot.
I was where was I driving by the other day and someone was mowing and it just came through my car and I was like, oh my god.
It's strong.
They are wild, definitely. Like literally wild. So what the heck is going on in your world, Phil? You're
Well,
looking all nice today in your sport
Thanks.
coat.
Thank you. Well, I mean, yesterday at the commissioners, it was about a month, exactly a month in advance, but they are preparing for this year's National Day of Prayer event. It's the 70th national observation of that event. Didn't get to have one last year due to COVID, so everybody's ready and raring to go for this time around. Wellston, as you may or may not know, has their own event now. That was started by former Mayor Connie Pelletier back in, I think it was 2013. Whereas before the event was always just held in Jackson for the entirety of the county. Connie felt as though Wellston would benefit from having its own event. So they'll have theirs. It's set for 7 o'clock in both Wellston and Jackson. Wellston's event is set to take place at Pride Park at the flagpole near the depot. In case of inclement weather, it will be moved indoors. And in Jackson, the event is being held at the Christ United Methodist Church's Life Center, which is right next to the Jackson Police Department on Portsmouth Street. That will be a combination. Your people are welcome to come in person, but they will be live streaming the event also for those that don't necessarily feel comfortable going out still. And the people that do go in person, there will be masks and social distancing and such. So we had some of the planning team members at the commissioners yesterday, along with Mayor Hudson and Mayor Evans. There was a proclamation read for both the cities and for the county. Team members Sandy Borden, Terry Kavanaugh, Janie Carl, and I believe that was it. They were there yesterday along with all three of the commissioners to get a jump start on that event. And 6th of this year, and that is the 70th observation of the national holiday. Aside from that, we had an interesting Wellston Council meeting last Thursday. That was the first time that Wellston Council had open meeting in some months due to COVID restrictions. In that first open meeting, we had a member of the public come, Mr. Shaw, Randy Shaw. I think his real name is James. Everyone calls him Randy. He's a resident there on West Broadway Street in Wellston near, I think he has an adjoining property with Dave's Custom Butchering. His complaint pertains to the fact that the owner of Dave's Custom Butchering recently, and by recently I mean within the past year, had his land surveyed, and Mr. Shaw noticed that was going on and went and asked and was told that they were installing a holding pen. Well, within a few months, he noticed that the entire 10 acres of property had been fenced in with an electric fence, which, according to Mr. Shaw, is not allowed within the city limits according to the city's codified ordinances. However, on closer inspection on his own, going through some of the city's ordinances, he found that they're not necessarily contradictory, but they're a bit confusing. There is various sections of code that aren't necessarily always utilized by the code enforcement officer, Ryan Pelletier. So they've kind of been working since the new administration took over to tidy up some of these ordinances. Basically, one of the ordinances say that you're not allowed to have any sort of a wall or fence that has an electrical charge within the city limits. And this fence doesn't necessarily, is not charged at the moment. But the other part of his complaint was the fact that the owners of Dave's Custom Butchering are planning on bringing in cattle to their site, and that was the reason for them installing the fence in the first place. And there is currently no ordinance in the city of Wellston that prohibits hooved livestock from being inside of the corporation limits. There is a certain ordinance in the city that pertains to noxious odors, but as Mr. Shaw said, such a definition is subjective. I mean, one person could say something smells bad, another person could say it doesn't. So in the short term, that particular issue has been given to a committee of Wellston City Council, and they're going to discuss that. But it draws to light the fact that some of these city ordinances definitely do need updated, or some just aren't existent at all, which might surprise people given the fact that, you know, the city's been in existence for so long. But a lot of that stuff has been done by administrations long past, and there's not really anyone to call up for references.
Phil, let me ask you a question on that, because I mean, I guess I understand both sides of the argument with this, but does it have any? I mean, Dave's has been there for 100 and some years, right?
Dave's that was the other part of the story. Dave's has been there longer than Wellston's been
right
a city.
So that could be an argument, and also it being a commercial property, could that make a difference?
Well,
in the ordinances not applying to them.
I'm
just thinking, you know, through
Right.
this whole thing, because I'm so glad I don't have to make this decision, or am I, you know, this is one of those where you're like, thank God it's not me.
Well, and that was what Charlie said. That, you know, this is one of those situations where you're probably not going to be able to make everybody happy. But according to Mr. Shaw, he looked up, and he really did his homework on this. According to the county's zoning, that particular spot is zoned as residential. However, when you look at the city's zoning map, that particular 10-acre property, even though everything else around it is zoned as residential, that is zoned as industrial. And it was even mentioned that possibly that property was annexed into the city. As I said, it was present before Wellston was actually a city. And it should be noted too that regardless of what the county's zoning specification is, according to Ohio law and home rule, the city's zoning specification supersedes anything that the county would dictate.
The city overrides the county.
Right.
Okay, I was going to ask you that too.
So
Interesting.
We'll see where that goes. We've only heard from all in that argument, so we'll have to see if maybe anyone from Dave's will come forward and say anything on their own behalf.
Well, I do know with the pandemic and all of that, you know, a lot of butcher shops have gotten a lot busier as
Yeah.
well, so they may need a larger holding area or something like that. I'm just thinking outside the why all of a sudden this is an issue
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
But his major complaint was the idea of there being an electric fence in town. Given the fact that it is in a neighborhood and there would be children around, it might
well, they'll
not-
only touch it once, Phil.
Absolutely, yeah. It might not
We've
kill
all
you,
been
but
there.
it'll hurt you. Yeah.
Touch it once, you won't do it again.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes, and and it should be noted too that both Wellston and Jackson, though they haven't heard an exact amount, they're both supposed to get about $1 million from the American Rescue Plan. However, the Attorney General of Ohio recently joined several other states. I think it's up to maybe 12, 13, 14 other states that are suing the federal government over the fact that there's a stipulation in the American Rescue Plan that says the money given to these municipalities cannot be used to lower taxes. So that money can't be used to reduce a tax burden on the people. And that kind of foils one of the plans that Wellston had initially of using some of that money to offset some of the needed water and sewer rate increases. That comes on the coattails of an updated rate study by RCAP that says they need to increase their water rates by, I believe it was $275 per customer per month for 5 years, and $1.75 for sewer rates per customer per month for the next 3 years. Now, that's just a recommendation. That's ultimately up to council to implement any sort of a rate increase. But one of the things that Mayor Hudson had mentioned from the get-go was using some of the stimulus money that they're poised to get, half this year, half next, to offset some of that cost to the people. And so now it's uncertain whether or not this lawsuit will slow down the delivery of the money. But we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. They're also looking at a 10 to 15% discount for senior citizens across the board. So there's a lot of things in motion right now in Wellston, and they are definitely trying their best to not burden the taxpayers as much, but some rate increases are going to be necessary, unfortunately.
Well, that's just the nature of the beast.
Especially given their aging infrastructure and their desperate need to replace their water lines, especially, and address their sanitary sewer and their stormwater runoff.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Wellston isn't the only town in this boat. We're here in Jackson, same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of our towns were developed many years ago, and the infrastructure is old, and unfortunately, at some point, it has to be replaced.
I had even heard, I don't remember where I heard this, but it was from a fairly reliable source that within the past couple of years, Wellston city crews were out working on a water line break, and they found an old water line that was wooden. So that's how old we're talking.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
A wooden water line.
Yeah.
And we thought the old, what's that stuff called? The pipe that they used to use for sewers that all the roots get into, the clay pipe.
Yeah.
We thought that was bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So that was probably, one of the first water lines ever laid in the city. And, I mean, it's hard to tell.
Wow.
It's really hard to know what's down there until you get down there.
Yeah, and I think that, when Randy Evans and our service director, Swackhamper, were here the other day, they were discussing that, and it's like there's no maps of this stuff. There's some, but there's no one knows, number one, if they're accurate, and number
Right.
two, all of the infrastructure. Where do the water lines and the sewer lines and whatever go? None of that's been mapped out.
Yeah, it's definitely not a comprehensive map. I mean, you're talking back in the late 1800s when these cities were founded, so it's really hard to say. Just like with the discussion about the city ordinances in Wellston, it's been going on for so long, and there's no one to just directly go and ask. So if it's not right in front of you, it's a very involved process to figure out how to write some of these things in our current day and age.
Well, yeah, and of course, like you said, when a town is developed in the 1800s or whatever, they couldn't even imagine. It's like our forefathers writing the Constitution, which they did a pretty darn good job of, but you can never imagine, you can never account for some of the things that are going to be thrown your way. And I was thinking about some of this infrastructure and things. There's going to be buildings built on top of water lines and sewer lines and whatever. And how do you get down in there to replace all of this? Boy, oh boy. Again, I'm glad I'm not the one making that decision.
There was one spot where the city actually bought a lot from the property owner, because they found when they dug down to fix one of the water line breaks that they found an area where most of their sewer lines cross, and they actually found one line that they didn't even know existed that was atop another line, and it was causing the ground to hoof up, and it was causing a lot of problems with that area. They just bought the property because it's never going to be usable, and for them to be able, that's where a majority of their sewer lines are.
So they can get to it that way.
Right. So that way
Okay.
they don't have to, constantly be bothering someone to get under there.
Man, this is going to be a major project, and do not envy the folks that have to be in charge and complete it, for sure. Well, you're full of it this morning. What else you got?
Well, I haven't started on this yet, but I've gotten 2 calls this morning pushing me in the direction of covering this, but it's definitely worthwhile, and it will take a lot of legwork, and it would probably be a series of stories rather than just one.
Sure.
But there have been some talk about the homeless population in the county, and aside from the various places where they have tent villages or encampments, there have been some complaints specifically about the Eddie Jones Park area, where I guess, I haven't seen firsthand, so this is kind of speculative and going off of what somebody said this morning, that there had been some damages done to the shelter house. It looked as though one of the benches maybe had been torn apart and burned for, I assume, heat. And this all, and I've also heard that where there are so many abandoned properties, which, you know, is a constant struggle for the land bank, especially, aside from the various municipalities, but they're squatting either in or on the property of these abandoned properties. And a lot of this issue goes directly back to the drug abuse crisis, not just the opioid, but drugs in general. That's just driving this homeless issue that we've had for some time here. So that's probably something I'm going to be looking into in the next couple of weeks to try to get that process started, to shine a light on that. Not necessarily to, you know, shame anybody or to, you know, say shame, you know, this is a bad thing. It is a bad thing, but you have to get to the heart of the problem. And that would, in a lot of cases, be drug abuse and the inability of that individual or individuals to hold a job or to sustain a regular life, or what we would call regular life. So it's definitely a problem in a county that has about 33,000 people. I mean, if you have more than one homeless encampment in the county, that's probably a good indication that you have a pretty serious problem.
You know, and I commend you for, you want to talk about a project, that's going to be a big one for
Yes.
you if you take that on. But also, I think there's a lot of people that live in blissful ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. I mean, totally okay. But if you think that there's not an issue here, and it's only in the big cities, you're sadly mistaken. And I mean, it may be people that you know
Yeah.
that you don't realize that they're living in their car, or if they're lucky enough to have a car,
Yeah.
and or, you know, on a bench somewhere or in a tent in the woods or whatever. And you know, it's like the chicken and the egg. What comes first? What came first? Were you homeless and then lost your job, or did you lose your job and then became homeless? Or, you know, was it drugs first, or did you get on drugs because you were homeless? Like,
Right.
I don't know, and that's what I'm interested for you to find out.
Yeah. And it's important to note too, that to be considered homeless, you don't have to live outside. You could just have to, you know, if you're your friends that you couch surf and, you know, stay here, there, and everywhere, that's homeless. If you don't have a
Yes.
place where you hang your hat and where you go every day, you're homeless. So there's a whole other population that would be just as homeless as a person living in a tent in a homeless encampment. So it's a bigger issue than what a lot of people think. And I think it's about Jackson County does, as far as I know, still have a homelessness committee. That was started back, I believe, in 2011 or 12.
Mhm.
And they actually had started to work with the Jackson Area Ministries to build some homes for these people, which is great. But the amount of homes you would have to build to accommodate all the people that would need them, it's just an impossible task to do on your own with just one committee, even though it is a very righteous thing to do. I think it's going to take a lot more of an effort from a lot more people to get this under control.
Well, and again, I commend you, because I think the first step is awareness, and I think there's a lot of folks that just don't know,
Yeah.
and they're ignorant to it, and that's not anyone's fault. It's just, you know, the drug scene in our area. A lot of people are ignorant to it, and if you haven't been affected by it, which I find it hard to believe that most people haven't been affected by it now in some way, shape, or form, whether it be a family member or a friend or a friend's family member. But it exists. It's huge, and all of these things need to come to light.
And luckily, we have people like the story James and I, when he shot the video here recently of Justin Oyer's new men's recovery campus.
Yes.
That's a big step in the right direction.
Huge.
Because that addresses two of those issues at once.
And I think that number one, identifying the problem, or that there is a problem, making community awareness of it. And then the solution, though, is obviously the kicker. And it takes a lot of people a lot smarter than all of us, probably, to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I see it a lot in Columbus when I spend time on High Street a lot for different reasons. And mental illness is a huge reason for homelessness as
Absolutely.
well. And, at first you get aggravated when someone's walking down the street and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, and you're like, wait a minute, what kind of hell are they living in every day?
Yeah.
You have to think of that. It's like, wait, I can't be selfish about this. Like, they're on my nerves for 5 seconds, but they're living this life every single day, and they're homeless, and they've fallen through the cracks. There's no one to help them. It's sad.
And unfortunately, there's a group of people too that, pose as homeless and, even have jobs and have plenty of money, but they know they can, take
the panhandlers.
They can take from someone else and benefit themselves that much more. So that's definitely not a good thing for the actual homeless people that need the help.
Yeah.
And there's such a bad stigma attached to all this where, like I said earlier, these people automatically probably feel ashamed of themselves as it is. But then to hear other people, say the same thing, that, that it's their fault, they should just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and that old song and dance. I mean, that's not always the case. That's not always an option for people. I mean, for the people that can do that, that's fantastic. But for the people that can't, it's going to take a lot of like-minded, empathetic people to step up and do what needs to be done.
And you said it a little bit ago, and let's just be honest. If it weren't for local churches, look at what good the churches have done with Hurricane Katrina. They'd still be trying to rebuild New Orleans down there if it weren't for a bunch of folks like the folks that came from churches even in our area and went down there and had skills and just rolled up their sleeves and worked, and that's where all this is going to come from.
Yeah, it's not going to come from the federal government. I mean, the money might trickle down from there
partially, but the good sense to help the problem is not going to come from the government.
No,
it's going to come from caring people. Empathetic people.
And that's probably, best suited to solve this problem, because the people that would know the problem best are the people that live here every day too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're going to be the ones that determine what's the best caveat to solve this. So I had heard this off and on, but just this morning had 2 different people call and mention it. So I think it's,
oh, no.
It's going to take a lot of work.
Off you go.
Yeah. It'll take a lot of work, but I think it's something that needs to be done. And like I said, it'll probably be more than one story. It'll probably be a series. So I'll get started on that as soon as I can, and hopefully draw some attention to this negative problem and get some positive results out of it.
Well, if anyone can do it, you can, Phil.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Well, I have some really pressing news this morning to report. You'll find this. I mean, I did my homework.
Okay.
Are you ready? And I don't know what to do about this, but we need to investigate. There is a ketchup shortage.
Ketchup shortage.
And it's all due to the pandemic, because everybody's eating out.
That makes sense.
And literally, there is a ketchup package shortage.
I have good news. There are enough little packets of ketchup in the little drawer in my refrigerator.
That's what I was about to say.
To completely solve this problem.
So are you ready for this? They say people are actually taking to eBay and selling ketchup packets online. Yes, I'm not kidding.
I didn't know this was such a big deal. I'm gonna have to go to
Well, I'm
Walmart
set
and buy
then.
all the ketchup I can find.
I know,
Like
right?
they did with the
Well,
toilet paper.
hold on now.
It's gonna go the way of the toilet paper. Can you believe it?
Everybody go buy stock in Heinz
That's
immediately.
right.
And Hunt's.
No, they since the CDC has recommended, and it affected our restaurant where we used to keep ketchup bottles on the table. Well, of course, the CDC, the governor, everyone, and just our own common sense was like, wait a minute, people shouldn't be sharing this stuff because
Mhm.
then you'd have to scrub everything in between, salt and pepper shakers and all of that. But yeah, so we all went to ketchup packets, and Heinz and some of the other companies say they're planning on increasing production by about 25% to produce how many here's a trivia question. Ketchup packets do you believe are produced per year?
Oh my lord. Probably billions.
James?
Well, I'll go a little lower. I'll say like, I don't know, 900 million.
900 million ketchup packets? Phil?
I'm-
Ketchup packets produced.
I'm going with billions. I don't know.
Okay, pick a number.
2 billion.
12.
12 billion.
12 billion.
12 billion
Oh, wow.
ketchup packets per year.
That's insane.
Well, I mean,
Isn't
I
that
guess
crazy?
I've gotten a few takeout bags that probably had about one.
1 billion in it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's either feast or famine with ketchup packets,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
swear.
it's the same thing with the napkins.
right.
Yeah,
you might
right?
get one, you
they
might get
either
20.
give you one or they give you 400.
That is correct. I'm like, there are 4 people at the table. Give them 4 napkins. Like, I'm not understanding why you have to give them 24 napkins. There's 4 people at the table. Now,
I
if you
don't
have
know.
children,
It depends
Right.
on what type of people they are.
that
and
how
what
much
type of-
ketchup they get.
and what type? What type? Well, like where Pete was talking about the new barbecue restaurant in Wellston.
Okay,
you
you
that I'll
might
give
need
you.
more than one
Yes.
napkin.
Right, yeah.
That I'll give you. They say retail sales for bottles of ketchup have soared over the past year, jumping over 15%
Wow.
from the previous year. And of course, ketchup is not the only thing that's suffering. There is a giant pepperoni shortage because people have been getting lots of pizzas.
Yeah.
And they say that they cannot keep up with the demand for pepperoni.
Yeah, that one's on me. I'm sorry, guys.
It's all your fault. But the pepperoni went from, because the pork processing plants just got nailed with COVID.
Yeah.
And they had, remember, if you remember, like Hormel and a bunch of them had to end up shutting down their plants for a while
Yeah.
because they got nailed with COVID. Plus, the demand for pizza is up. So, yeah, if you happen to see an extra bottle of ketchup and you're a ketchup fan, good news for me is I can't stand this stuff, so I'm A-okay. But, yeah, if you're a ketchup fan, you better up because they're saying that it's possible and it's already becoming a problem for restaurants. Like a lot of the chain restaurants are having trouble getting their packets. So James and I you weren't up here yet though. We decided that it's A-okay in Jackson County or Southern Ohio because the international beverage of choice of Southern Ohio is not ketchup, it's ranch dressing.
Yeah.
So as long as I can still get some ranch dressing ingredients, we're good to go.
Yep. I think you're right.
No, we actually kind of went away from ketchup packets at the restaurant and just started individually portioning out just like the little cups.
Oh, okay.
Because people are like, it's so much nicer to just dip it in a cup than have to take packets and put it on your plate and you're like, it just seems messier.
First world problems.
Yes,
I like
100%.
I like those ketchup packets that like look like the little bottle, and you can like
Yeah.
They're
you
so
can
cute.
squeeze it out the top or like peel it off and
Yep.
dip in it.
Yes, Wendy's
they-
used to have those.
Yeah, like they work both ways.
Yes.
That's the way to go, man.
I agree. And they probably cost $1 a piece.
Yeah, it's got like a nickel's worth of ketchup. In it.
Right. Thus the reason why Wendy's no longer has those,
Right.
I'm sure. But yeah, no, there is a ketchup shortage, and it's affecting people across the country.
I never knew, and I probably wouldn't have ever known.
Yep.
I'm a mustard guy, I guess.
Me too. So yeah, are you guys ketchup eaters?
I do sometimes, but
I'm not really. My problem with ketchup is not necessarily the taste; it's the feeling of it.
The feeling, you're not supposed to feel it, Jennifer.
Well,
You're
if you have to
supposed
portion it out every day at the restaurant,
Yeah, she's feeling it a lot.
you kind of feel it. So it's literally so bad with me that it grosses me out so much. I'll do anything there, but like the girls are like, "Oh, we'll do the ketchup." Like,
When I worked in restaurants, it was onions. I
yeah,
will literally do anything other than cut the onions.
yeah. You need your onion goggles.
Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. So, yeah, I'm like even if I go to McDonald's and get French fries, I get the hot mustard instead of
Yeah.
ketchup.
I'm the same way.
That stuff is the bomb.
Yeah, it is.
They should bottle that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes. Brad, if you're listening, I'll be happy to take a few cups of hot mustard anytime you
Yeah.
want to give it up. But also, so I saw this. I thought this was interesting. 5 vehicles you might not want to buy new, and 5 vehicles that you do want to buy new. I thought this was interesting because a lot of times you drive the car off the lot and it just
Yep.
the value of it goes way down. Well, there are vehicles that are not necessarily that way. So it's okay to buy new if you want. But so they mentioned the ones that actually just tank the minute that you drive them off the lot. They say that the average drop in price for a 1-year used vehicle is 17%. That's just
Okay.
across the board. So number one of vehicles that you don't want to buy new because they tank, the BMW 5 Series, which goes down 38.4% after a year.
Wow.
Wow. So you could buy a year-old BMW 5 Series and get it for $24,000 less than what someone paid new for it.
That's insane.
Number 2, the Hyundai Sonata, which surprised me because I thought those things held their value very well. And that will drop 36.1% after a year. Then they went on to, and I don't know what this looks like, the Infiniti Q50.
I don't know.
I don't know. It goes down 34.9% after the first year. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross goes down 31.6%. And are you ready for this one? I would never guess this. The Ford Mustang drops 31.0%, 31% after a year of driving it off the lot new. So, on the other end of the list, the ones that hold their value the best, the Tesla Model 3, which isn't that one that's kind of cheaper and
Yeah.
affordable?
Yeah, that's the more reasonably priced
Yeah.
model.
It
At,
only
like,
drops
$60,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only, yeah, right. But they're saying that after a year, it only drops, its value is 2.1%.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Can I guess what the other ones are?
Yeah,
that hold
please
their
do so.
value? I bet Jeep Wrangler and probably like Ford F-150 and big trucks like that.
You are sort of close.
Tesla would have been the other my third guess.
Yeah. Do you have any guesses,
Mm,
Phil? You're kind of close. You got the companies, just the wrong vehicle.
is Honda in there anywhere?
Nope.
That was my only guess. I don't know.
I know. I would have said the same thing.
Because they last forever.
Yeah, like the Kias, the Hondas,
Mhm.
the Hyundais, all of those. So the Tesla Model 3 drops just 2.1%. The Toyota Tacoma, so
Okay.
you were kind of on the right path, was second at only dropping around 4% from new, followed by, and this is my jam vehicle that and I know now why you can't find these because everybody's buying them because of this. The Kia Telluride is at 5.7%. So after a year, its value is only dropping 5.7%. You may as well buy it new.
Yeah.
if you want that vehicle. And it was also the 2020 North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. Moving on, the Jeep Gladiator.
That's the truck.
That's the truck.
Oh, okay.
And the Ford. Another truck.
F-150.
No, you said
Ranger?
F-150. Yes.
Ranger.
Ding, ding, ding. The Jeep Gladiator and the Ford Ranger tied for fourth place at 7.1%. So
That's a pretty big difference between that and the other. On the other side of the spectrum was in the high 30s.
So you drive off a BMW 5 Series and you lose 38.4% in the first year, which is $24,000
That's
Well,
insane.
right off the rip.
Well, I'll tell you this. My car was pretty much a year old when I bought it,
Uh-huh.
and I paid half of what the original sticker price was.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah,
See, that's a good
and
good deal.
it was a leased car, so it hadn't been driven that much.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, deals and all that stuff. Maybe they didn't pay the original sticker price either, but yeah, I mean, it was
That's a
half.
really
it was
good-
half the price of what it was a year and a half earlier.
Well, and this goes back to, Mark Carmen at Carmen's Used Cars. And, someone like him that is an expert and his staff out there, and this can segue right into that, is he knows that. He knows what vehicles are a good value when you drive them off the lot and ones that, if you wait a year or two, I can find you one.
Mhm.
And you're going to pay half for it, or you're going to pay a third of it if it's 4 years old or whatever. So, those used car dealers are pretty smart when it comes to that stuff. And Mark is definitely in tune with that
Yes, he is.
as well. So, but yeah, there's you a little hint of vehicles. And so if you're wanting, that Ford Ranger, or if you're wanting that Jeep Gladiator, you may as well go and buy it new, is basically what they're saying. And honestly, by the time you get done with like maybe 0% financing, or some of the friends and family discounts they give or whatever, you may end up getting that much at a discount anyway.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, never buy a new vehicle," but there are some out there that are holding their value. So,
Tesla, there's a lot of like rebate incentives too.
Do they?
Electric vehicles in general, but
I guess so. Yeah,
so there's opportunities to save a little bit of money.
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, but this just those are also new. There just isn't a used market for Teslas that exists yet, really.
True.
Well, yeah, I think if you're going to go out and buy a Tesla, you're going to buy it new. You want to have that warranty and don't want to have to change out batteries. And
Yeah.
I mean, the car is a shell. It's the other stuff, the guts of it, that are going to cost you all the money to
Mhm.
fix. So, all right. Well, before we get on to anything else, if you have a Tesla, you don't really have to worry about the filling station or the store Broadway up in Wellston. But you can still go there and get Hoser's Pizza. And I do know that they have pepperoni, so you're in good shape.
Yeah.
And they have very quality ingredients as well, with their pizzas and with their chicken and with all their side dishes and things that they serve. So get there and check them out. Also, Jeff from Callahan Hardware will be our guest on the program tomorrow. We always look forward to having Jeff here because he will be bringing all kind of seasonal items, special deals just for our Channel 15 viewers. So we love that. And also, if you have any jewelry repair, watch repair, clock repair, custom engraving needs, please give Chip and Kathy a call at the shop, 988-2841, and they'll be happy to help you out. Or, as is in the paper, lots of fairs and festivals being planned, and a lot of trophies and plaques will be made for those. So please consider Chip and Kathy Smalley, because they're wonderful people and they do a fantastic job. So, all right, well, guys, is there anything else to talk about today?
I don't think so.
No? Well, thanks for all your news updates as well. And you heard some of it here first.
Yep. Yeah, I literally just got off the phone with the second caller as I was coming up the stairs. So
That's wild. So thank you so much for that. And stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated on all of that. All right. Again, Jeff from Callahan Hardware will be our guest here tomorrow, and we look forward to that. Enjoy that beautiful weather today. Partly cloudy skies, highs of 81 degrees. Doesn't get much better than that. So get out, do some yard work if you can. Take your Allegra, and you'll be A-okay. Have a great day. We'll see you back tomorrow, and thanks for watching.